Hello, fellow D&Ders and solo RPG adventurers. Today I'm going to do an interesting experiment, as you might say, and this one is based on how to play solo D&D, or in this case I'm doing white box D&D, original D&D, using Roll20. This may be confusing. Why would you do this if you have all those tokens like I showed on the other thing? You know, countdown, I may have spin down counters and all that. Let's say you didn't have any of that and you want to play this thing and you have access to Roll20. This is a way you can do this. So I'm actually going to use my techniques that I show in my other videos. And I'm going to do this with a module called Wererat's Well. Okay, so a couple of things I want to show that I've done. I've taken my characters, and here's Timmons, right? Stanwyck, Itaz, and once again Ellis. And if you don't know where I am, if you go to drduick.com, if you come here, drduick.com, if you hit here, hit my icosahedron here, and if you come down to solo D&D, right, click that, and this explains how I do things, right? But then again, you can watch a video if you're unfamiliar with this. A lot of this is not going to apply because I'm doing it on Roll20, but still interesting nonetheless as a technique, okay? So I'm actually going to be using the beautiful book, and I'm going to hold this here. This is by James Spahn. It is, he wrote, of course, White Star, did a great job. And this book, it's called the White Box Omnibus. There is a module in the back. It is the Wererat's Well. Now, if you buy this thing, I think on DriveThru RPG, you get the PDF, and that's what I'm going to be showing as I go through my play. You can see how this would work. I'm going to do this as a series, like part 1, part 2, etc., right? Because, you know, it takes a while to kind of go through this. You can gauge yourself on how much you would want to do and how much you would not want to do very easily by seeing how much work. Now, it took me about, realistically, I guess maybe an hour and a half to load everything up. I'm looking at my clock up there on the wall. Load up everything into Roll20, okay? Now, I'm going to probably run through this, and I could keep all this and then play this with characters if I did dynamic lighting and all that stuff if I was really interested. For all practical reasons, this is for me because I'm in a quarantine and I'm bored and I'm learning new ways of doing things, okay? To take a look at my characters. Let's do this together. Hopefully you'll find this interesting. I'll start off with Timmons. This is my characters down here. I've actually got tokens for them. And there's Timmons. He's my halfling thief. To see what his character sheet looks like. He has 15 strength, 17 dex, 12 constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Now, I explained in other videos, I just take his constitution, add it to his full hit dice for first level. So he's going to have 18 hit points. I loaded all the other stuff in here into Roll20 for my use. Because they are first level and they're actually going to be put on assignment, I'll explain the whole scenario in a couple of seconds, that all their weapons are going to be silver because they're going after werewolves and it won't work otherwise. I also have these things which are skill checks, okay? So to kind of see how that would work, you just, we'll go back to Timmons. If you do a strength check, it comes up on the actual dial. It says strength check, roll under 15, 1d20. So he rolled a 4, he would pass a strength check. And so on. This would be a dex check, and he has to roll under 17. So they're all set up exactly the same way. Here's all their gear, and I explained what the gear is, and they can carry up to their strength number as far as items. And certain things I include together, like the 12 torches, I consider one item. Flint and steel is one item. 7 days iron rash is one item, and the water skin and such. But I explained it ad nauseum in the other ones. So we're going to try to get this up and running. Once again, he has a really interesting thief ability. It's a 2 out of 6. If I say he's going to steal something or do something, it's a 2 out of 6. He does have the ability to hide, which is a 5 out of 6. So when you roll these things, it's really kind of cool. I don't know who made these sheets. God did a great job. But so I said stealth is 5 out of 6. He rolled a 3. He would pass his stealth check. He's a halfling. Once again, the ideal here is to have as much fun as possible and to learn things. If he's going to do a backstab, once again, you hit the little icosahedron. It's times 2, so it's 13. His damage is already taken into consideration, so it'd be 4. The only time you have to do a modification if you're doing crits, then you would basically give max. I do max damage because it's white box. Okay. So to start off with, I'm going to cough here for a second. To start off with, I'm going to start reading the module. So I'm going to go back and forth between screens, and hopefully you find this interesting. Okay, so the Wererat's well. It's for 6 to 8. Ooh, I'm understaffed. I only got 4 guys. Swords and Wizardry white box characters from 1st and 3rd level. They're all 1st level, and I only have 4. So these guys are being hired by a mayor of Willowford. And there's some plague going on, so they're going to be called in there, and it's going to stop this whole thing from popular. So I'm going to have some fun with explaining what's going on, right? So they're called in, and it's a big hoopla. They're like, "Oh my God, some bad things are happening," and the mayor says, "We think something bad is really happening." The priest turns around and calls, right, the adventurers, and they're supposed to make some money, like 500 gold pieces for doing this, and they say, "Hey, the church has put money aside. We have all these weapons for you. They're silver because we believe they're werewolves at risk here. Some reports have been going around town, and so we really want you to go out there and extinguish this evil that has plagued our town." And so obviously Timmons, being the thief and being untrustworthy, kind of looks at the swords and he's checking him out, and he's thinking to himself, this is kind of a weird situation to be in. He says, but let me make this sure, we are still going to get our $400 bounty for you say, yeah, you're fine, get your 500 gold pieces, but this is like a bonus, right? So they're all kind of good with it, right? Of course, Ellis, being of noble, I guess clericdom, you might want to say, she sees it as her right and her duty to extinguish that which is evil along the land. Of course, she is just going to be lawful because she is a cleric, right? So the mayor gets upset, right, that the whole time this is going on, Father Arden is doing all this entire talk back in the church hall. He kind of eventually starts banging on the church doors saying he needs to talk to the adventurers now. And the adventurers kind of said, okay, well, sure, all right, we'll come out, we'll talk to you. So Mayor Durden, he says that this is the deal. It's 500 gold pieces, and I will give it to each one of you. Of course, that makes everybody's eyes light up. It's me 2,000 gold pieces for taking care of this evil problem. So just to keep something perfectly straight, I'd have to have proof that you have extinguished whatever the problem may be. So whatever it is that you do, you must bring back to prove this is what you've done, right? So the adventurers kind of like are a little kind of in a juxtaposition here. They kind of don't really know how do you bring proof that you vanquished evil, but they're going to figure out a way figure out something along the way. So they end up going to the Frothing Flagoon, right, where there's actually a dwarf. The whole place is pretty much all human, right, as far as the town Willowford. So seeing a halfling like Timmons, he's really small, he's doing his thing. Most people are making these, shifty eye movements, seeing this little guy walk into the bar. And at the time he walks in there, obviously Drusk, he's a very, very abrupt dwarf, comes over. And he says, "I see you, little wee man, come here." And so he tries to ply him with alcohol, right? And wanting to know his story. Well, Timmons is very short with the lips. He doesn't want to have these discussions with a dwarf, especially because he's always, every encounter he's ever had with the dwarf has always been gruff and kind of annoying. So he wants to avoid actually that interaction. But at the time, he cajoles him and starts talking a little bit. And since obviously Drusk is in the minority, he's in this engaged discussion with how would you say, Timmons. And Timmons is going to start chatting him down right now to say, maybe we could stay here for free because we're going to rid the town of problems. So I'm going to go into my first skill check. I'm going to run this with Timmons. So he's going to do a charisma check. And so he's going to try talking Drusk into letting them stay there for free. This is a big jump because, the guy wants to make money, but he explains to him, you're losing money because less people are going to be coming to your town because you've got a problem of plague that's hitting the town. And he was supposed to roll under 10, and he does not. Drusk is a dwarf, and dwarves are not going to give up the ability to make finances and money made available, right? So Ellis steps up, and she's like now saying something about the plight of her. You know, this is a religious thing. You can't just, surely you can donate and how would you say, give to a noble cause. We are here as adventurers trying to essentially save your town. You don't see that as that. So she's going to make a charisma at that time, and she's on a Drusk has decided that this is just the way it is, and you know they're going to actually move on at that point. The what's when you're looking at something like this, it's not so much that it's all about the money, but it's all about the money to Drusk. It's all he cares about. Well, that being the case, they decided that they have the mayor steps up, and the mayor decides to kick out the funds for doing so because he thinks that this is an investment. And likewise, they spend the night there getting ready for the next day. So they run into several different townsfolk and see things that are going on. But most of the time, there's these shifty eyes looks, especially because they got someone that's really diminutive in size. They haven't seen anybody smaller than Drusk ever, so halflings sticking out like a sore thumb. Now, as strange as it may be, they eventually get heard of the fact that there is a rumor of a shack way on the outskirts of town that they see like things moving back and forth at night, but it's actually been sort of completely off limits to any of the town folks. They believe that that's the origin of this plague that's running through the town. So they want that be the first place that they're going to investigate. But they don't want to go up there right now. They're going to wait until like the morning because it's towards evening right now, and it's probably a bad idea to be out there in the middle of the night towards the outskirts of town where bad things can happen. All right. So the next morning when they wake up, they decide to make that journey out to the outskirts of town. And upon coming to the shack, it seems like it's like an old grain shack that's been sitting on for quite some time, unused. They can see a couple things that happen, that there's all these footprints that are moving in and out from the door. And for what they can see, and I got to probably do an intelligence check here, and I'm going to use Stanwick as my guy, although we don't have rangers. And how would you say white box? It is actually in the how would you say the omnibus. You can have a ranger, but he's not a ranger. He's going to do a wisdom check to see whether or not he can pretty much figure out if he's seen before these kind of tracks before. So he's going to pop a roll, and we're going to see how he did. Oh, okay, Stanwick. He rolled under his 12. And he's like looking at this stuff, and he can see right off the bat that these look like animal footprints, but they're not quite exactly normal. They don't look like a, how would you say, like a bear or something like that, or a wolf. They're kind of splayed out, like the toes are flipped out like this a little bit, and it's fairly large animal. And if anything, it would look like almost like it looks like a mouse or something. It's really confusing. So as they're looking around the ground, trying to determine something, they can count how many tracks. They can't really get a good feel about how many things have been moving about, but they can tell by the way things have been pushed back and everything that the door has been messed with, like the door to the shack, and they can see all these footprints leading in and out of it. Okay, so they decided that they're going to take a look inside the shack. All right. Here's the map, but we're going to be on the map in a second, right? All right. So the actual shack, besides the fact that it holds grain and stuff on the outskirts, but it hasn't been used like that for years. There's actually the well for the entire town is inside that shack. So you can see that it's and according to the description here, it's nice and it's a gray box. It's located north of the edge of town. It's protected by a small wooden shack. It's seen better days, kind of dilapidated, I guess. Its stones are built about 3 feet high, and a wooden bucket secured to an oak arch above the opening and dangles from an old, slightly tattered rope that is spun around it, and it can be lowered by a rusty hand crank. Okay. So right now they're sort of looking down into this well, and they're trying to determine exactly what they're looking at, right? So they're going to actually take a gander and try to determine how far down this would be. okay? So it says here, party climbing down the rope in a bucket, snaps and falls across. It can do 46 worth of damage. So it can't determine how far down the whole thing is, right? But I'm going to see if I'm going to give this to the look of the halfling. So the halfling's going to take a gander at this, and he's kind of like, I don't think he's that smart. Oh, he is smart. Okay, let's try it. Let's try a roll on this guy. He's going to actually say whether or not that rope can actually hold him. He can be lowered down in there. So we're hitting a roll for him, and we'll go back here. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, he's looking at this thing. He could determine, based on what he's looking at, whether or not this thing would actually hold him. So it says if it has more than 30 pounds of weight are put on the rope, it snaps. Any character who's using it will fall to the bottom. So Timmons doesn't trust this thing at all. He's like, nah, this thing's not going to hold me at all. He says, we got rope. Let's cinch this together and go ahead and rappel down into this thing. Right. So obviously Stanwyck says, because it doesn't look like it's going to hold you. I know it's not going to hold me because I'm wearing like armor and stuff. And obviously Ellis is wearing plate mail. She's like, no, there's no way I'm going to be able to go down this thing. So what should we do? So we decided to go ahead and secure a rope to the nearest tree from the outside, run it into the well, and we're going to rappel down into the thing. Okay. So it says right here, ropes and hooks should not be much trouble. And so that is what they're going to do. I am the only person I'm really probably going to try to roll for doing this thing, and this is to see whether or not they're going to fall and do tons of damage, right? Is that they would have to do an abominable thing. You have to roll a 1 here, but they should be able to go down this as a group of adventurers. So I'm going to do dex checks on each one of these guys, but they have to roll a 1 to scrub. It's like they've been hanging over the side. So the first one up is going to be Timmons, and he's totally says, wow, he got close, because a 1 would have been, he was swinging around the bucket acting like an idiot. He fell, which, kind of be something he might try because he's a little halfling, who knows, right? So Itaz, she has to roll. She cannot roll a 1. She's going to do her dex check, and she rolled a, wow, these are low rolls. This is scary, right? So the next one, she's going to make it down into the well area. Stanwyck's going to make his roll. His dexterity is 15. He just has to roll under that. Just, I guess, don't roll a 1. Okay, he's fine. And the last one being Ellis, and she's going to do the same thing. She does not want to roll a 1. She's fine. I could have easily said, don't roll a 20, because these are roll under stats, but I don't know. I just said 1 because that's how my brain was working when I said that out loud. So they're going to descend down into what is the well, and these are my character tokens down here. So I'm going to move them about. Itaz, the entire time she was lowering herself down, she had a lantern, and she's going to light it when she gets to the bottom, and she's the source of illumination that you're going to see down the bottom of the well. Okay. So now there's a great oblong pool that serves as water source for the village. Willowford runs 30 feet in length and easily 10 feet across. Its cold, still water rises to your waist and are set into a plateau of mud and stone that surrounds on all sides in the center of the huge underground hollow, right? All right, this is where they get their first run-in with badness, right? That's how it goes, sadness. The water here has recently been infested with 4 rot worms. Of course, right? Nothing's easy when you're doing white box, right? So if they fall from location 0 and survive, are immediately attacked by these parasites. The rotworms are difficult to see in the water and surprise anyone who stays in the water for more than 1 round on 1d4 on a 1d6, okay? Characters who search the water for treasure discover some minor treasure, but are certain to draw the attention of the rotworms if they haven't already. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit there and say, if it goes in the water, more than 1 round. So they're down in the water, and a round is actually 1 minute. I seriously doubt these guys would stay in the water for more than that. So I'm going to do a 1d6 roll for the entire group, right? And I would say that for them, easily said, right, that I think that they're not going to stay in the water. They know that they're going to find something bad, but they're going down into the water, and I'm going to say /R 1d6. So if they roll a a 6 on this, actually. That's bad. That means they're staying in the water too long and they're going to be attacked by rotworms. Boom, 1. So they're out of there. Okay, so they turn around and they sit there for a while and they're kind of like, okay, let's get out of this thing really quick because this is cold water. We're getting soaked and we have to go on, find out what's going on here. So as you can see, this thing's like 5, 10, 15, they said 30 feet across, 10 feet wide. All right, my grid may not be exactly perfect, but it's going to be for what I'm doing, right? So they decide that enough of this, let's get out of this water thing. This sucks, all right? It's cold. I don't want to be here. So they move themselves back up a little bit. They're up off to the shore, right? And they're not even thinking there'd be treasure down in the well. I guess that's not something I've thought they would have started looking. They know there's some evil afoot. They wouldn't come down here just to get all dirty and get in trouble here. So let's see what's going on. They turn around and they're going to make a decision now on where to go. So looking around here, right? They'll probably get up off the bank and move a little further up. And wow, they're like, look at this thing. Look at, there's a giant room in here. Something I didn't know was going to happen is there's a cavern down here, right? So I've got this thing kind of blown up to the point where you can't really see around, and that's somewhat intentional, right? Taking a look around the rest of this place, they will see the following. This vast cavern is bound by walls of stone and earth. A rocky cliff on the north wall is split by a wide dark fissure, and a wide hall opens along the western wall, splitting off in 2 different directions, and a simple stairwell of stone peeks out the eastern side, right? So they're taking a look all the way around this place. All right, I'm going to back up just even a little bit more. And now we're going to have to make a decision on where we're going to go, right? Since we have what appears to be, right, look at this. There's a thing over here, a thing over here, a thing over here, over here, and over here. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possibilities of places to go. So they don't really know what they're going to do. They just see a very large cavern. So I'm going to do this from a clock, right? 1 would be at the top, 2, right? 3, 4, and 5 over here, okay? So I'm going to do this little clock around thing, and we're going to see which direction the party's going to go. /R, 1d6. So maybe I can see 1d5. Wait a minute. Boom. So they're going to go direction number 1. So they're going to go up towards the top of the cliff, which probably makes the most sense, right? So I'm going to put ITAS up here. I'm going to start sliding up this way. And like I said, I don't read the adventure ahead of time. And the reason why is I just want to be as surprised as you trying to find out what's going to happen. So reading more about the chamber itself is devoid of monster, save for 1 Wererat. Okay, so I didn't say this right. This lone slinker rat is informed when the players begin exploring the location, immediately scurries away to location 12. All right, the hall of the rat god to inform the allies, the intruders. So, oh, they're in trouble, right? So there's a small nook in the northern part of the room. The Wererats have been using it as a toilet. It's disgusting. It's filled with a massive pile of rat excrement. Delicious. Characters who make an effort to listen for noises in the chamber have wanted to are hearing a low, painful moan coming from the southeast corner of the chamber. This has come from the human trapped in location 3A of the cell. All right. So let's go ahead and see what's going on right now. So first of all, I'm going to do a perception check to see whether or not any of them pick up on the fact that there is a lone Wererat in the chamber, right? So for all these guys, let's make a go of it. Timmons, perception check. He's going to roll. Ooh, he is. Oh, he can't. He's not hitting it under 6, so he's not going to see it. ITAS, wisdom. Oh, so ITAS notices something off in the corner, making a run for it, right? Stanwyck, once again, wisdom check. Yeah, he's under. And of course, I'm not really worried about Ellis. She's got the highest of all the wisdoms. Oh, she misses it. So really, only 2 of them, ITAS and Stanwyck, both hear something scurrying off into the location, right? So at this point, So let's go back down here. Data, so I'm going to put a token on here. He's going to be running into room 12. So 12 is going to be, ooh, where's room 12? I don't know where that is. Let's take a look. 12 is way over there. Okay. Well, then you'd be running probably that way. Okay. So I'm going to grab a token for this guy. So I made these tokens, and they're illuminated because they make it easier for me to see what's going on in contrast to the rest of this background. So he's going to be going this way. At this point, Duick draws his bow, and he's going to take 2 pop shots at this thing to see whether or not he can hit it. So looking at the description here, right? He has an AC of 13, and he's got 3 hit dice, and he does have a weapon, right? And he does have some loot on him, but he's going to be running by, right? So we're going to take care of this before we find out about the noise coming from here, right? So Duick, without further ado, is going to turn around and take 2 shots very quickly, boom, boom, and see whether or not he hits anything. So let's try this out. So he's got a hit for a 13, and he fires once. Whoa! Really cool. 2, right? So the first one's a miss. The second one's going to do max damage, okay? So max damage for this bow for him is 8 hit points with the damage, right? Right now, the dude himself, that little Wererat, he is 3 hit dice. So I have got to find out how many hit points he has. He's going to get hit for 3. Duick's the man. All right, so we're going to take a look at this slash R. Sorry. I'm going to put down 3d6. Let's see what we get for hit points. And if it's under, in this case, I guess 8, it'd be Golan, right? 14. Whoa. Okay, well, so he plugs this thing. It slows down its movement, and it yelps in pain, right? So his movement's going to be all but half. They're going to be able to get another shot off because this is unexpectedly something that this Wererat did not expect to happen. So I got to go back and count my arrows for Duick real quick, and he's going to fire another round. So these are silver arrows, 1, 2, and he's going to fire another 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to make Ellis on the draw, right? So this is the thing about it, is like I'm just assuming that they can actually see this cavern. It's actually going to be pretty dark, but it's kind of how I'm gaming it out. Otherwise, they are going to get slaughtered pretty quick. So he's going to take 2 shots too. So let's do Timon's shot. He actually is really good with the bow. He's going to shoot twice. Ready? 1, 2. All right, those are both going to hit. That's going to do 6 hit points with the damage. And clearly, this is going to be the fog of war. I like to play with these guys. They're going to both fire, even though that would take them out. All right, so that's going to be a critical miss. But the idea behind it was like they both burn their arrows, but they do kill this thing. So now they're going to go down and investigate what it was. And it's sort of kind of like, I mean, they hear bad things in here, so this is their move. So we're going to run this guy down. Itaz, you got to come with me because God knows I can't see in the dark too far. But I know I heard movement. I shot in the direction of the movement and the sound I heard. Right. So they run down here to investigate what's going on. Right. Same thing with Timmons, and let's move old Ellis down here too. So what they see this, obviously this Wererat, and as it dies, it slowly turns back into human form. Ooh, so now they're going to be clued in somewhat what's going on. Now, I'm going to do just sort of a intelligence check that they can stick this together, but chances are they've all heard about these rumors of things like this existing. So, like Timmons, he's kind of stupid. No, it's 12. He's smart. Okay, so he's going to see. He doesn't know what the heck it is. Why is this thing changing? I have no idea what's going on. Why is this? Why is it turning from human into something? And obviously, Itaz at that point rolls completely under and says, "That, my friend, is a Wererat." And they go, "Wow, Wererat?" They go, "Yeah, this is like something pretty disturbing." it's lycanthropy. It's when things change into animal forms and they can change back. It's a disease. So if you catch it, you're going to be in trouble. So immediately, Timmons, because he's a thief, he starts rummaging through what remains of, let's say, the body parts and stuff like that, just to see if there's anything valuable on him or her. I mean, as it changed, like I say, it's a him, right? And he finds on him 32 gold pieces and 89 copper pieces, right? So I'm going to add that to Timmons' score. So he's going to get 39 gold pieces, right? Well, actually, I can put it up there. Why not? So, nah, I guess I don't want to. I should put it here. I just put it here. Okay. Gold pieces. I'm going to put down 39, right? I just keep adding to that. And what was the copper piece? I can't even remember what it was. I'll just go back and take a look at it 1 second. Copper pieces itself was 89. This is one of these things where he may dump, but he's a thief. He likes that stuff. He likes that money. So he says, was it 89? Why am I can't look from one screen to the next. Let's go back to that. It was 89, was it? Oh yeah, 32 and 89. Okay, cool. So this was 32. No wonder. Okay, now 32 and 89. So Timmons is there and he's kind of cleaning up his stuff and he's like looking at the stuff. And of course, at this point, Ellis is going to actually do a morality call at this point because she's seeing this, probably a naked dead body on the ground, or maybe it's scantily clothed because it's all torn up and stuff. And she's going to do her a charisma roll and try to convince the group that this needs a pure burial. Okay, so she gets into a big speech saying, "Oh my God, this was a human being. Would you bury it?" And then the others are saying, "No, this is a monster. This is kind of, done its thing, and it deserves just to die where it is right here in the well." And she's trying to explain this to them, but they kind of don't want much to do with it. As far as who is convinced by this speech, so I'm going to actually roll, and this is where you do the RPGing, where they're kind of like who is going to get the healing spell when times got bad, right? Because it's a moral code she's coming out with. Does everybody want to adjust to it? So this is a roll under thing. The closest guy to 1 will be the one that she favors because of what has happened. So Timmons, he fails. He doesn't care. It's a thief. He's stealing from the body. He doesn't really care what it is, right? Itaz is going to do charisma check here, and wow, Itaz is just once again kind of agreeing with Timmons. This is just what do we care, right? This is not really. It's a monster. It's something that's it's a hideous, monstrosity, and Stanwyck sense into it. They're all like the same way. So this is something where Ellis will take this into consideration later on when it comes to who's going to be doing the actual, how would you say, who gets the healing spell when things get bad. I guess they're all equally kind of like that right now as far as their understanding of what's going on and how they judge things at this point. So now they're kind of looking, this may change their direction of where they're going to go, because he was going to run this way. So at this point, I'm going to do a 50-50 roll. Do you go back to where you were, or you go this way over here? So this would be 1, 2, 3 is down this way, 4, 5, 6 is back to where you were, because this was sort of interesting. Slash 1d6. So 1, 2, 3 is down. Let's see what happens. 3. So they're going to now start going this way through the tunnel, taking this as their cue, right? We're going to start lining these guys up in the order in which they're going to go. I guess I could rotate him so it looks more like where you're going now, because we just kind of screwed this whole thing up. Of course, they're blind to the other areas we have here. She's going to pull up the rear because that's her job. And my friend Timmons, he is going to go towards the front a little bit. He's going to be stealthy in his move, okay? With that, I'm going to freeze. Actually, I'm going to stop. This is part 1. Thank you for listening, and hopefully this is interesting the way this thing is being played out. Like I said, you can have fun with this thing. And like I said, I haven't read the module ahead of time, although all DMs should do that if you're playing with people so you know what's happening. I'm actually revealing things as I go, so that way it's interesting for me playing the game and being game master at the same time. Okay, with that, go ahead and click through, and hopefully you get to watch. How would you say the second part? Right. Thank you very much.